Hey everyone, welcome back to Study Acupuncture with me. Today, I am not in my general place. I'm not in my mobile office. I'm not in my regular office because I don't have a regular office anymore. Boo-hoo. But I am in a very special place. I am in Lodi Acupuncture and Wellness, and I am here meeting with one of my oldest friends in acupuncture, Tracy. She owns Lodi Acupuncture and Wellness. It's a beautiful place. I love the vibe in here, and we're going to talk to her and just vibe today. And that way, all of you out there can get as much value from her because she has gone through the program. She's built her own practice. This is your second one, right?
Second location, same practice.
Location. Yeah, second location. So it's like she's gone through changing locations. So finding a location in the first place is crazy enough. And like pulling the trigger on becoming your own business, becoming your own brand, all that stuff is crazy. So Tracy's a huge person who can teach you how to bring yourself to the practice, how to change your practice, whatever it is. So today, Tracy and I are just going to vibe. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you, well, not everyone knows you like I do.
Okay.
So just introduce yourself.
Okay, my name's Tracy Biegle. I'm an acupuncturist since about 2017. Interesting story. I grew up in this office. Since I was 16, I was the front desk representative for a chiropractic office mainly, but the woman behind the practice was a natural doctor. She was a naturopath, muscle tester, acupuncturist as well. She actually taught at Eastern School, and I was just there doing my thing, not knowing what I wanted to do, and I just learned all the important things, how to verify insurance. You know, we sold supplements. I was like the patient liaison with that. I took co-pays, answered the phones, things like that. And I didn't know what I was doing then, so I grew into those types of roles. And then I was always here noticing how she was working or how she was helping people. And then I realized, like, I think I want to do what she did, or it was just kind of, you know, inkling me to find what my purpose was or what I even like. Because even in college, I didn't have a major. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't like it enough to claim it, to be like, oh, I'm in the teaching program. So, you know, you can see there's something there with that.
And then that's how you sort of like, you learned all the back end stuff. Like, so you have
Yes.
of like how a clinic runs.
Yes.
And how did you, like, all of a sudden you're just like, I'm going to go to acupuncture school.
Yes. So I liked nutrition. I liked the fact that this woman was helping heal people with, you know, different diets and things like that, and learning more about how humans are and what's important. So I went to school for nutrition. Yeah. And then you have to kind of go up in the ranks. And in nutrition, it's to be a registered dietitian. That's like the credential of it. But once I was in that program, I didn't really quite like how they were treating people with, you know, with the feeding tubes and the certain liquid that they would put in. Like, it had just GMO, it had corn, it had soybean oil. Like, it didn't seem to be true health. Like, food is medicine. And I was like, I don't really like this. But I had to kind of just go through it to get that credential. I was like so into, you know, being credentialed to do nutrition and becoming a professional in that field.
So you went through that whole thing? You went through the whole dietary program?
Yes, I did.
I forgot this.
Yes, I didn't take the test because then Dr. Robin came to me and she was like, you know, I think you should go to acupuncture school. She's like, you watched me do it. She was like, I think it'll get your foot in the door. You'll have a professional skill. You'll be able to bill. And I was like, okay. So then I had an interview at the school, and I started the program right away, and I deferred my master's degree to get in nutrition because I had to keep going. So, you know, she's like, if you want to do what I do, like, you can go this route. And in this hallway here, she always had these degrees on the wall, and I would walk past them like, you know, 100 times a day, just seeing like degree after degree and certificate. So that was an inspiration to me, and it was important to me to have that. I just didn't really know what my path was or how I was going to get there.
Do you feel like now as like a fully fledged acupuncturist, do you feel like some people, do you still feel like that way? Do you still feel like degrees and certificates and all that stuff are really necessary for patient care, or you feel like otherwise?
Not anymore, because things are very different, you know, but that's how Dr. Robin grew up, you know, in the field, and that's how she taught me, and I was in a very professional atmosphere, and she told me that that was important. So things have just changed, you know? So I see, and that's kind of a big struggle and challenge of like having your own practice or being professional. Like you see other people doing things and it's like, where'd you go to school or how do you learn that or what's going on? And there's more people making courses and certificates and, you know, it's not about Ivy Leagues anymore. It's not about like who has a good program in an undergrad or graduate, you know? So yes, credentials are important and degrees are important, but in certain contexts. And now there's a lot more jobs out there that we never had before, especially in this holistic health sector, you know? So I'm kind of like, yes, because that's my background, but also no, you can just do it, you know? And that's not how it used to be.
Yeah, no, but that's how I feel too. Like I was like, I have to get this and I have to get that. I have to get this certificate. And like you look at people's names and they have like DPT, LCSW, MAP, NACP, blah, blah, and it just like keeps going on and on and on. And it's like, oh, like, well, they must be amazing. And I stink because I don't have that much and I got to go do that.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody told me, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get my personal training. And then they were like, why? Like, why? Why do you need that? I need it because then people will, no, you don't need it at all. And I was like, I don't know. I had to think about that for a long time.
Yeah. And actually, now that we're talking about that, you know, that way that we were conditioned is within us. So I still am like that, even with courses. And I'm like, oh, I need to learn this. I need to learn this. And for a while, I say 2023 and 2024, I kept learning things and doing more. And then now in 2025, I realized like, I didn't really receive all of that information that I put out there, especially after COVID. There was a lot of free webinars. I thought that was the best thing because CEUs are expensive. So since everything went digital after that time, there was so much information out there. So I would, in my free time, book a webinar because it was free. I'm like, oh, I have to learn this. And I was like, I don't have to pay. Like, that's amazing, you know? So then I was doing too much because I just felt like, oh, I should know this. So it's the same thing going on. I need this credential. I need this certificate, right? And it took me a while to be like, that's really not the case anymore. And also, maybe that wasn't the way it should be, you know?
Do you feel like you found more of yourself now as like an acupuncturist, or do you feel like I feel like I have insecurities. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, what if like I don't know this, or like what if, oh, like I need to know everything before I see this patient, or what if they come in and I don't know what's going on with them? And I mean, like, do you feel like you still have some insecurities?
Oh, for sure, all the time. You know, so that's why it's very important to me to talk about the challenges of having your own practice or just doing this and being a professional, because you're still the human, you know, so your human stuff will come into play. So yeah, and I have to do certain things to like psych myself up and like soothe myself and be like, you can do it, Tracy, like be my own cheerleader, you know. And it's like, and I was taught by this wonderful man, Dr. Scott Walker, the head of neuroemotional technique. He says, you are always safe in service. So I try to bring in that mantra of like, I am safe in service. Like my creed is do no harm, like legit, that runs deep for me. So like, I have no intention of doing anything wrong or something like that. So to overpower the fear, I kind of plug that in and then
What's the quote?
You are always safe in service.
Safe in service.
Yeah, so it's like as you're serving and doing your service, like you are safe, like with God. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, you know, we're working as a conduit of God and like you're the vessel of like healing for this person, right? You're not the healer, but you're facilitating that healing within the person. So you're doing like a miraculous feat. You know what I mean? Doing God's work. So it's like you're safe in service, you know? So learning that really was like, oh, I resonate with that so deeply. And it was a way for me to like just give in that inner confidence of like, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm here. This person showing up and is choosing me to work with them, right? So they're giving me the permission. So it's like, just do it, you know? So all the time I have to work with myself on that, especially since I do this by myself. I don't have any coworkers, you know, and no one really to talk shop with, you know? So I have to do a lot on my own.
Yeah, that's hard to be on your own. Like, because it's like you don't have someone to just be like, oh, this patient, I don't know what to do with them. Like, what should I do? And then it's like, it's just you.
Right. And back in our clinic days, that's all we did. You know, we collaborated. You know, you had a supervisor. So, you know, that's stuff they don't talk about in school, you know? And then I feel like in acupuncture, in our society, people think it's more of a clinic-based or more multidisciplinary practice where there's like PT going on in Cairo, you know, and it's not like oh, I'm just going to this person's office. I feel like solo practices are more far and few.
Yeah.
So there's all those opportunities there. So when you're in school, you kind of think that, and then as you're in the clinic space, you're with people, you know what I mean? You're with your peers. You have a supervisor, right? There's multiple rooms. Like, it's just like a going thing. Right. So it's kind of like you're just kind of in fight or flight, like you're just doing a thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not really like that when you're doing solo. Like, I take one person at a time, I do my thing, you know? So there's a lot of more room for thinking, you know what I mean? And, you know, being more calm and present. And like I said, your human stuff will always come into play, you know? So you have to learn how to balance that, you know, stay grounded and, you know, show up and serve. Yeah. So I didn't think that I would be here because I didn't have that mindset in school, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good intention to have, because like I didn't understand the quote you said at first, but it's like, I'm just showing up today and I'll serve people. Mm-hmm. So whoever comes, I'll serve them. Mm-hmm. And like, that's my only intention with them. Mm-hmm. And then the rest will come. Like, it's like, I'm not doing something for myself. I'm not here to like, I'm just here to serve.
Yeah.
And like, that's the best thing. And that can like alleviate a lot of fears.
Yeah.
But I feel like that takes time.
Yes.
Right? Because it's like, even like when you said, like, I treat one patient at a time, I feel like some people probably got really nervous, like one patient at a time, but like some people treat 4. How are you going to make money that way? And this, and that. And it's like, no, you can.
Oh, yeah.
You can.
Yes, you can.
How?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I first started working here with my mentor in her practice, and I maybe did 3 rooms at a time. But we had staff, you know, she was also in other rooms. Like, it was just like a working, moving situation. Yeah. So I did like it. I had my own office, you know, but you got to be on. Yeah. And there's really no time. So when you eat lunch, you're kind of just like, oh, I'm tired. I'm just eating my lunch. You know, you scruff down your food. And then at the end of the day, depending on how late you come home, I mean, most people like to come after work. So, you know, you're ending your day and it's like you want to come home, see your family. You want to have a nice dinner, you know, and then like you have to wake up and do it again the next day, you know. So I did try it out for the first year and I liked it. You know, it was nice to have people answering the phones and have a staff and things like that. But that wasn't the case for me, you know. My next step was like, I had to move on to something else. And I decided I didn't really want to collaborate with another person. I want to do my own thing. So then I went to my own practice and I had to answer the phones and check people out and take co-pays and, you know, do the vitamins after and things like that. Yeah. So I got the hang of it, but
you had the baseline at least.
Yeah.
You may not have that baseline.
Oh yeah, that's why I was able to just do it no problem. You know what I mean? So like I said, it's very challenging. And you know, looking back, now I'm thinking about all 2020 too. Like, I'm very proud of myself for that, you know. And I actually started my business. I started my own practice January 2020, and then March 13th, they're like, okay, you can't do anything anymore. So I was like home for 2 months, you know. And actually, that was a very special time for me because I didn't feel guilty not being available to people because they weren't looking for me to be available. So I was able to have time off and take a break because I never had time off from school, from high school to college to acupuncture school. And then, oh, you start now, right? Taking board. So it's like you never really get a break where you can be free to be like, okay, this is okay to take this time for me. It's okay to just rest and chill. So I really liked that downtime. And explored myself a little bit and, you know, was able to figure out, you know, what am I doing? What do I like, you know? So, yes, I figured that all out in my first years. And like I said, there's challenges. Yeah. And I prefer it because, you know, it depends on you. Like, I'm like more of a control type of person. So I want to talk to the person before they want to see me instead of somebody else talking to them. You know what I mean? I want to be involved in all of it, especially since I used to be involved. I used to be the person talking on the phone. I used to be the one introducing them to the practitioner. So I liked that part, you know, so I wanted to do it for myself.
Yeah, right. But then you were seeing a lot of people. But now it's like, you have one room, so you see one person at a time, and it's like better, right? It's better for you, like from a mental health perspective, probably, right? Mm-hmm.
Mental health, and also that's just what I like, you know? I noticed that it's kind of hard to do what I'm good at if I'm focusing on more than one person, you know? Because now I do a lot more energy medicine, a lot more of that. So it's like, you know, how much can I do? Where's my mental capacity? You know what I mean? So sometimes I would overlap and I would be a little bit worried about the other person and taking that away. And I don't really want to take an experience away from a person. You know what I mean? Because especially if they're paying to come see me, you know, and this medicine needs to be more normalized, you know, and mainstreamed, that this is the way to help yourself, because we're talking about balance and we're talking about lifestyle factors and we're talking about, you know, what's going on in the body instead of being told with no context. So I'm big on the teaching aspect. So I want people to kind of understand and get that experience too, and not just be like, okay, bye, you know, and like, here's your treatment, go back into the world and come back again. I was never really into that.
Yeah, it's kind of hypocritical in a way. It's like, oh, like, you gotta be balanced. And meanwhile, you're like, oh, I gotta go here, I gotta go there. And it's like,
Yeah. So as the world started changing, like I said, so my whole practice was post-COVID. So most people were coming off of intense fear, you know, worry, loss, you know, illness as well too. And, you know, it was a very interesting time. So I was always talking to people about that, you know, like, and how we can help with our lifestyle. And then that's how I noticed, like, okay, this is what I like to do. This is what I'm good at. I have a lot of insight on it, you know, and what helps me, I can help people too with that, because I've gone through it. I understand the challenges and we're in a different place now. So that's more important to me than just doing points. You know, I'm really not into that, especially because people still don't understand what acupuncture is doing. You know, we don't understand this natural, complementary, alternative medicine type vibe. You know what I mean? So bridging that gap and informing people about that is very important to me. I think that's more helpful for everybody as the years go on, instead of just doing this and getting money from it. I mean, I feel like I have a more deeper purpose than that.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows that you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You could just do what you're doing and still be very successful.
Yeah.
Right? And some people, they're like, oh, I have to do exactly what they were doing. I need to have this many rooms. I need to have this kind of table. I need to use this, and that, whatever. I need to be in network with all these people. It's like, no, you could do whatever. You could do what you want.
Yeah. You really can, you know? And like I said, I'm living proof of it. And I used to think all those things. And, you know, they always say things like, my mentor would always say stuff about, you know, practicing, like, don't worry, you'll do it in practice, or like, that stuff doesn't matter. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then until like time went on, or as I've grown personally, you know, I'm really like, it doesn't really matter, you know? Or another acupuncturist, I went to her and I was like, oh, I'm wearing this. And she was like, you know, no one really cares what you wear. You know what I mean? Like, you could wear this for a while, you could wear this, like, you know, it depends. You're just going to kind of flow as the years go on. So now that I'm 5 years in, it's like, this is what I'm doing now, or this is what makes me feel comfortable. And like, no one cares. You know what I mean? And caring what people think was always big for me. And I feel like a lot of people feel that too and experience that. So like I said, your human stuff will always come in. So every day I try to be myself and not care what people think and embody what I do. And it's a challenge, but I rather do that as my life's work than the other thing. And, you know, to each their own, really. It's just kind of like, find what you like, what you want to do. And if you want to work in a clinic with a lot of people, you want to take insurance, you want to do all the things, go ahead. And also, too, everything's temporary. You can do that 10 years from now if you still want to practice. That's the lovely benefit of acupuncture, having the skill and having the license. You can change it up. You know, you could also move, even though you have to do, you know, state legislature laws and things like that. But, you know, you're free to kind of just practice and be a conduit of the medicine, you know, and find what you like. And it takes patience.
True.
And I feel like in school, everything's like, gotta get my boards done, gotta start making money. And like, also too, some people are changing their careers. There's a lot of pressure on them. Like, this gotta work, you know, I have to do this, or I have to make as much money as I was in my corporate job or something like that. So there's a lot of pressure there. So that's more the humanist stuff, you know what I mean? So you can surely try things out. You can just try this clinic if you like, you know, see, working with other people, you know, feel it out. So kind of having that pressure taken off of like, okay, I chose this, which is a wonderful thing to do, you know, also too. So anybody choosing acupuncture school and deciding to go into this work is like, you know, you should be really proud of yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like step one right there. And then it's like, all right, what do I want to do? What do I like? You know, what's the vibe? What kind of office setting do I want to work with? You know, I miss working with a lot of people. I would really like coworkers, you know? So that's a con of having my own practice, but also I love what I do too, you know? So I would like to hone in on that for the students listening, that it's like, don't worry, you'll figure it out. And there's a lot of jobs. I actually went on Indeed the other night, and there was tons of acupuncture jobs, you know? So as we're here in New Jersey, you know, people are always hiring, you know? So it's not so, like, crucial that you're not going to get hired or what to do. Like, it will come. It will come.
There's plenty of opportunity. You could do whatever. You could do whatever for a little bit and then change.
Yeah, and like, look at you. Look what Rich is doing, you know? So it's like, you can take this medicine and do what you want with it. Like, you could do a whole face mapping course, you know? So post-COVID really changed the game where, you know, everything is mostly digital, you know, where... you know, now I have a digital-based practice. It's like no more paper, no more things like that, you know. Now there's just courses. Now there's webinar. There's a lot of people doing online businesses in the digital space. So you can use your credentialing to teach people or, you know, help them in the field of it, you know. That opportunity was not there before. You know what I mean? So, you know, it kind of opens your opportunity up to be like, all right, how do I want to do this? So if you want to go solo, you can also do something like that too, and that can give you passive income, you know, so things have changed. And as the young acupuncturists in the game that are doing it now, as opposed to seasoned acupuncturists who've been doing it for a while, I think it's important to talk about, you know, because it's very different, you know, because also too, like I said, the conditioning we have of like, gotta get this credential, gotta do this. You don't really need to do that, you know, but also you're always gonna feel it, even though someone tells you like, don't worry about that. It's in your belief system. No one really can shift that for you. So you have to kind of work with yourself to be like, yeah, I don't care what you say. I still am going to go for this. It's still important to me. I'm still going to be hard on myself. I'm still going to put that pressure on myself. Where that won't help keep you well while you're doing other hard things that it is to run your practice or be a professional.
Let's pause for one quick second. Okay, before we took the break, you were talking about changing, moving, trying new things. Basically, the moral of the story I think that you were getting at is like, just try.
Yeah.
Right, just try. Because like you won't know unless you try.
Right.
And you can try doing the digital thing. You can try doing a busy clinic where you're seeing 6 people at a time. You can try doing the front desk for a little bit. You could just try and just try things. Because like you're going to be an acupuncturist for a long time.
Right.
And you're not a tree, so you can move about. Right. Like you could just like lift yourself up, move somewhere else. Yeah. Like you changed locations. Right. Right? You changed working style. You changed the amount of rooms that you have. Like you just found what works for you. Because like if you stay stuck in some position where you're like, I don't like this. It doesn't feel like work for me anymore. It doesn't vibe with me anymore. You're gonna break down yourself. And then you're not gonna be able to help people. Right? That's sort of like what I was getting from you.
Yes.
So let's talk about how you got to that point. Because like obviously you went through a lot of challenges. Yes. Right? Like you're talking about the COVID pandemic, you're talking about school. Like what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced and how did you overcome them to like get to where you are now?
Okay. Myself. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That is my biggest challenge. Yeah. Me. So I had a spiritual awakening and I didn't really know what that was. You know, it's like interesting words, but I just started to wake up and I learned a lot, and it took me on a journey of finding out who we are, you know, what it means to be a human living in this lifetime, like why I'm even doing this work, you know. I don't know, it's really hard to describe, but I had these feelings and I would just want to explore them. I had a spiritual mentor, someone I was seeing, and she was helping me with certain concepts of soul and, you know, like astrological chart, just like learning more about me. So I had this awakening to just kind of like learn about me and to be my true authentic self. And as I started to go down that journey, I realized what makes a human, right? So it's like childhood trauma or things that we've had, right? I don't really like to use the T word. I just call it stuff, you know? Because there's big T trauma and little T trauma. Yeah. So I never really had any big T trauma. I just had like little T trauma. And that's very important too. So I like to make it more neutral and call it stuff. Yeah. So I was more aware of my stuff and how I got here and what makes me me and why I think the way I do and what causes these challenges I have and like why am I like this, right? So it has a lot to do with programming in a society and conditioning, right? In your family and society. And these are two words that really should be out there because it makes us. It really imprints our nervous system and it's stuck in our subconscious, and the subconscious controls 90 to 95% of your thoughts, actions, and behaviors, right? So it's like you're doing that on autopilot. You're not even aware of it, right? It's more than the mental emotional factor. It's more than that area where like you can try to do all the things, but you still have these patterns, or you're still stuck, or you still feel this way. That's all in the subconscious, and your subconscious is in your heart and every single cell of your body, right? So, the great book, The Body Keeps the Score, things like that. I really delve into that and really help people on that level as well, because it will set you free and it will help you achieve your goals, where people are looking for this medicine for answers. People are looking for more because they're like, my doctor's not helping me, or they don't feel well, or they know something's up. And we all have stress, right? So the way to deal with stress is like, you have to deal with yourself. So even when I work with little kids now, they know these words, stress and anxiety, which I thought was very interesting, because I feel like we didn't know what that was. What? We might have known like nervousness. Yeah, in 2019, I started working in the Lodi Rec summer camp, and I called it Wellness Wednesday, and I was like, I'm just going to try this. And I just started talking to kids and asked them about how they feel and what causes them stress. And they said that they knew the words because they saw it on TV, or their mom says it about bills or something, so they were taking like the context and learning what this word was, where I feel like we were in the dark decades ago. So now that this concept is out there and everybody talks about stress and there's a lot of anxiety, it's like, what makes that? What are those feelings for you, right? So in order to reduce them or overcome them, you have to learn more about yourself, So I just kept learning more about myself and trying to help myself balance that and grieve it and understand that I'm just a human. This is how humans are. It's all okay, right? Because we also don't want to blame, right? So I'm not going to blame my parents for parenting. They did a good job. I love my parents. Parents are people too. But everybody does this in the human experience. Everybody has parents or lack thereof and has certain experiences that imprint your nervous system and get stuck in your subconscious and make you. Right? So to overcome the challenges I had doing this solo practice and putting myself out there and being a professional, right? Trying to be an adult, it's like, who am I? Like, who is little Tracy? Like, what's the deal? So I learned, I'm not that good with stress. Mm-hmm. And I never really had stress as a younger child because I was always good at things. I was very bright in school. I was in the gifted and talented program. I got really good grades. I never really got in trouble. So I kind of like glided through life. The biggest challenge of mine was acupuncture school, and I'm not really quite proud of how I went through it, but, also too, like, it's okay. I see now in retrospect, like, that was a very challenging, ongoing, day-by-day experience that I was just in. And I tried my best, and that's me. So now that I'm trying to become my authentic self and knowing like, okay, I see what I did there and I have this awareness, I'm trying to honor that person that was there and not bypass her and just, be mad about it or anything like that. Like, I'm grieving and I'm understanding more. So for me, understanding is what I needed. I needed proof. Like, once I had my awakening, I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Like, tell me more. I just wanted to know more. I wanted to understand. So I'm really into that. Because also, too, when we have this social media situation where you're getting tidbits, you're getting like snippets of like fast food information where there's no context underneath, there's no understanding. And it's like, oh, we're going to do this product and you should do this. And now there's all this information out there, but there's no understanding, there's no context, and we don't have the discernment to know, is this relevant for me? Is this right for me? What do I think about this? And it just kind of goes onto that fear tactic. And also, I should do this because I don't feel this way. Or I'm also feeling stressed, so like, this must be right for me because, yeah, we're not doing so well. You know what I mean? I don't think that's helpful, And I just wanted to learn more and more. So I would read my books in my spare time. I would, see that in my service as well. That's what's important for me too, doing the way that I practice. Yeah. They always say that like, you'll mirror your clients who come in, right? So people who've been coming in have been having similar things that I've been going through as well too. And I'm able to help them because my intuitive gifts opened up. I have some wisdom and insight that I've never had before from learning and understanding and being able to provide my service of acupuncture and balancing, but also understanding, like, I'm a human here too. Like, I'm right there with you. Like Ram Dass says, we're all walking each other home, you know, and that's very important to me because people look up to me because I'm the professional, but most people who come see me are older than me, you know? So it's like, who are you? Like, who are you to tell me what's going on? Or like, I don't believe you, things, something like that. And if I was in their shoes too, like, I needed a lot of belief and proof. So I went and got it, you know? I learned and I kind of just supported myself through this inkling to be, what is going on here? What do I want to do? And like, do I want to do this for a living? You know, so because I know it's within me, but the challenges will, you know, sway me another way because it is hard. So like I said, you know, I can do hard things. I got to be my own cheerleader. Every day I have to do scary stuff. You know, the insurance notes was like so hard for me to do. You know, it was just something like doing it on my own and making sure they pay and things like that, not denying me, like stuff like that really hit on my heartstrings. You know, it really, really was tough. So I would have to help myself get through it and, you know, give the support to myself that I needed because I didn't have really many people to rely on for support. And that's not really where you should go to your partner to support them. You know what I mean? It's not their fault that, you know, this is challenging for you, and especially if they don't understand, you know? So especially having no coworkers, you know, or not many people having a solo practice. And also, too, people are very busy. Yeah. So it's not like we can just, you know, talk shop and, you know, can you help me with something? Right. However, though, shout out to the people who have helped me. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful because you have helped me. And also, too, I'm even proud and happy that I asked for help, you know, because also, too, going back to what you said about, like, trying different things, I think we feel it and take it as failure, or, like, the old way is, like, you stay in one job and you, like, continue and you grow your career and, like, you keep practicing for so many years. And, like, I felt that way. I think it's in our conditioning. So that's something that's different now in this new way that we're in 2025. It's just, like, just try it, you know? My mentor always said failure is feedback, and I always took that to be like, okay, but I had a hard time with rejection growing up, you know? So if the job wasn't right for me, I'd be like, well, why? Like, I would freak out, you know? And I'm just kind of like, now having my awakening, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, I see that as Tracy. I did not see that before. I just would behave in that type of way, and that would be my life. So now I'm understanding myself. I'm like, okay. And also being easy on myself with it, knowing that it's just part of being a human. We all have our stuff, you know? So trying things and kind of like taking that pressure off and knowing that like things will work out and it's all okay is very helpful. And it's really true, especially nowadays. So like I said, that was not the case before. So I feel people, even people who are taking up acupuncture, like I said, second job or like later years in life, you're going to be conditioned in that way to thinking like this has got to work, or, you know, I got to do this, I got to get the job. And it's like, no, if you don't like the clinic you're working, if you don't like the people you're at, or you don't like the style, that's okay. Move on. Another job will come through, right? And we have to bring in that notion so we can feel okay, so make sure that we are stepping into the job in steady ground, right? And grounded. And also instead of a fear-based place, knowing that like, I need this job, I got to do it, you know, and sucking it up, because that's not healthy. That's not living a balanced life. That's going to tank your adrenals. You know what I mean? That's not going to keep you well. So I think there's a very important aspect of keeping yourself well while you do this work, or any work in your life too, you know? But there's a lot more going on, because it's not a corporate job that you just show up to. It's not a retail job or something that you're just like, I'm here and I do my tasks. Like, there's a lot more involved. So you're taking up a lot more energy than maybe other people, you know, and there's really no education of that in school too. That's why I want to help students and teach them and understand, like, this is what's happening too. There's got to be some balance so you can feel okay. And taking the pressure off of these stressors of doing this huge thing that costs a lot of money, that takes up a lot of your time, right? It's going to cause all these feelings. So kind of working through that and taking the layers off of those feelings can lead you to more success, and help you pass your boards, things like that. Challenges that come your way. By understanding you can really get through anything. And that's how I live my life every day, It's just like one day at a time.
For everybody that's like listening, if you let's even like reverse it, right? So let's go back in time for them, because like what you're saying, I think applies even when you're in school. Like not just like you going into like the job market and like being on your own in a clinic, but it's like what are people dealing with in their, like what do you see in the world today? Like what are people dealing with their subconscious, like while they're in school, or like what blocks are they having, like that they have like while they're in school, like preparing for the board exam, or like just trying to learn the new thing. It's like a different language for them. Like what do you see as like the biggest like mental hurdle for people?
I see the pressure of, I got to do this, or this has to work, or, I want to go do this because I'm seeing what other people are doing. I think social media has a big to do with it, because it will like go into this one part of the brain that brings out like comparison, and self-doubt. So it's like, okay, I'm choosing this, I must do this, it must work. And it's just kind of like this one-way thinking instead of like dancing through life. It's just putting this pressure that's not really there because you're really making it up, So as I learned of the concept that people just make up stories, to kind of get us through life, the story is what's holding people back, because most of it is not true, right? So I always tell my clients, like, stick to the facts, right? So it's like objective. And people will say like, oh, well, what's a fact, right? But being objective, like, oh, you chose this. Okay, you're doing this, right? Not like this is what you think about it. This is your wounding coming in. This is some of your trauma coming in. Also, too, like you're worried about the future. Like the future's not real. We need to stay in the present moment. So the stress is what's holding people back, but people aren't understanding what is their stress, right? So by helping people understand themselves, they will reduce their stress because they'll realize like, oh, I'm in my own way.
Wow, that's I feel called out.
It's like I said, it's me. I'm in my own way every day. So when you say like, what are the challenges? Myself. Everything else is figure outable. You can ask people for help. There's AI to basically do whatever you want. There's other people. There is, there's the groups on Facebook. Like people are out there helping you. You can ask your questions for the specific field, but it's also how you approach it. Like I had something happen with me with like insurance, and like I freaked out. That was a huge challenge. I didn't know what to do. I felt like a failure. I felt called out. Like I took it very personally. That was all Tracy's stuff, where it wasn't that big of a deal, or it also happens to a lot of other people, and it just is what it is. But the way I took it was like, whew, like I almost had like a health crisis over it, So that's what's holding people back, because whether you're in college, you're in school, you're in the job market, you're just being a human. It's just kind of like the keeping up with the Joneses mentality that we have here in North Jersey, or like that fast pace, like there's just so many people doing things, and all you do is just see it. You see it, like who's success, who's putting this out, who's doing that, especially now with this digital way, like who's putting out a course, who's doing that. So if you're trying to be in this professional realm, you're like, okay, you're looking at all other different professionals. So it's like, well, wow, I want to do that, or I'm not doing that, or I don't have the time, right? So it's kind of like staying in your own lane, living in your own reality of like, what can I do? What do I want to do? What do I like doing? What's important to me? We kind of just are just like, I'm not good enough, or, they're doing better than me, or, I have to get to that level, right? So if you're a student and you're looking at other practitioners putting out their reels or showing how, like, this is what I treated today, right? Or, you're getting this exposure where you're not supposed to have that exposure, okay? You're not supposed to know what people are doing. It's a very weird concept and phenomenon. If this was 20 years ago, you would just be practicing. You wouldn't know. You would have no idea what other acupuncturists were doing unless you met up at a seminar or you had acupuncturist friends, things like that. So we're taking in so much stimulation and so much, through the liver meridian, through the eyes. So it's basically a lot of toxic energy buildup in the liver, and we're having a lot of liver clearing issues, which is bringing up a lot of other imbalances in the body, and has this like stagnation. And this negativity that creates this more like spiral of, you know, you go into the hole or like I'm so stressed out. So the main challenge I see is people's like, I'm stressed, I am overwhelmed, right? And people have no idea what they're actually stressed about, but there's these common things that we are participating in every day that are kind of like really overflowing our stress bucket, right? And that's going to creep up your toxin load. So if people are having physical issues and things like that and certain symptoms, it's because the nervous system is just way overstimulated and mostly dysregulated day after day. And then you just keep piling on the emotional layers, right? And it really just comes from a place of your heart, you know? It's hurting your heart because we don't have that like, I don't want to say gumption. We don't have that like skill. We don't know what it is to be a human and to be okay. And that we have that self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance for ourselves. We're basically going in the negatives. So we have to creep that up a little bit to be able to withstand what we're being exposed to every day. So it doesn't matter what field you're in. It's a human problem, you know? So that's what I mainly see from mostly everyone, working professionals, even moms, things like that. It's just too much. Too much.
When you say creep up the gumption, like creep up, like what, like besides like, because obviously self-awareness is like the one thing, like knowing like I'm a human, that's the problem. But it's like, what advice besides that, like would you give to people who are feeling stressed or seeing all like like they're doing this, they're doing that, like I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, like this, what you said, creeping up the
self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance categories. It's mainly like where we are as humans. So creep that up, I mean to say like practice it. Bring it into your belief system. You can have all the awareness in the world, but it's just going to make you feel worse and more stressed. So in order to be able to apply it, you have to shift and bring it into your belief system, like hard truths, like I am worthy, I am enough, I am safe, I am loved. Bringing your nervous system into safety is going to guide you through anything in life. So basically we're all running around with dysregulated nervous systems, and there's the threats just like are piling on. So the body's keeping us alive. It never makes mistakes, but there's no balance and there's no space for going within and understanding like, what are we doing here? What is this about, right? So that's very important to me to teach people and to help people navigate that and support them in that, because it's just part of the human experience, and everything is more exemplified and more intense than it ever was before, and no one's really talking about it. That is why we have so much stress. There's stressors everywhere, you know, chemically, environmentally, you know, so many people driving around, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of attention paid on one thing, especially driving, you know, so our body's doing a really good job, you know, keeping us alive, and it's doing a really big feat, and we don't have that knowledge. So we have to creep up the worthiness and being enough and understanding that all this is all okay. We are here to feel joy. You know, in this lifetime, we're here to just be and feel, because we are feeling beings, right? So it's okay that we have all these emotions. They're just feelings, and emotions are energy in motion, right? So learning how to move that energy out there and move through your feelings instead of just kind of go negative and spiral with having all those feelings and thinking that the feelings are the end of the world. We just need to learn how to work with ourselves.
Before we hit record and all that stuff, you were talking about a workshop that you were working on or you already have that sort of helps people through this?
Yes. Well, this is what I do in my practice with just anybody who wants to work with me in general. You know, so I say like, are you ready to reduce stress and get well? Right? So if you're coming to me because you have a lot of symptoms, right? We can help you on the physical, but I also help you on the chemical and the emotional and the energetic level, right? So I reduce physiological stress, right? So we don't know what that is. Mostly we know about mental, emotional stress, okay? And that's kind of what we're conscious of. So I delve deeper into the subconscious, you know, with certain techniques that are non-invasive, very gentle, but also it's just showing what's on your heart, right? And showing and bringing in that concept of your heart and every single cell of your body, and that's what your physical body is running off of, right? So I do that every day in my practice. I'm very big on teaching, what's going on here. So as I work with a person, we talk for quite a while. I spend a long time with my clients, and giving that feedback of how are you living? What are you thinking? What are you doing? What's going on in your life? Like, where's your joy? Where's your stressors? Like, just what's going on, right? Yeah. Just asking yourself what's up, right? Having that accountability and having that safe space to really express how you feel and even acknowledge what's going on, even good or bad. You were able to get that clarity and insight that you need to, pull through or really help yourself instead of being bogged down by life stressors and life is lifing type stuff, So I had a client come in from a school and she shared a little bit about what's going on and how she's feeling and things like that. And I recognized, myself in her and understood. And I said, wow, I could actually be that person that I always wanted in school to help myself because I felt the same way and I was very confused. Nice. I wasn't aware of it at the time, but even if you're aware of it or not, I would have liked this opportunity to come my way so I could learn from it and maybe make my experience much better, because I also did have some health issues. I went into adrenal fatigue. I had a lot of stuff going on because it was all the stress and I didn't understand it, like I didn't really realize it. Like we hear that word all the time and people are stressed. But like I said, we mostly think and talk about mental emotional stress. We don't understand how it affects the body. Right. So I work with people in reducing stress in the body, which will help the mind, right? So it's more body-mind situation, right? And talking a lot about energy and things like that. Yeah. So in the workshop I created for acupuncture students, I would like to create a space digitally so we can all meet and talk about our experiences or have a question and answer of like, what are some things you're feeling or what would you like to know, speaking to an acupuncturist in the field.
Oh, so it's like a live workshop?
Yeah, it's a live workshop.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes, it'll just be a safe space to be like, all right, show up, what's up, well, how are you doing? And then there's also practical tools on, how you can help yourself with those feelings or whatever you're experiencing, and also giving them some context of, just try things, right? Or just be okay. Or like, you don't have to think of it that way. It's really not like that, right? So like I said, anybody can take anybody's advice, and it depends on what mindset you're in. So it's not just about me giving advice. I'm also going to talk about, what's going on in the body and what's going on with you from an energy perspective. Because also, too, it will increase your performance for tests, quizzes, and board exams. Right. I was really blocked in my board exams. I was not able to pass because I was in my own way. Yeah. I did not know it at the time. Yeah. I kind of failed by one question, like little things like that. And I would get so worked up because I was so scared. Yeah. So now I tell myself, this scares me. I never acknowledged or was able to face myself to be like, this scares you, Tracy, and that's okay. Yeah. Because I was never taught that way. We didn't really talk about it, or, you're not allowed to show weakness or something like that, right? Yeah. So I finally got to a place where I'm like, oh, this scares me. Yeah. And it's like, all right, this scares me, so what are we going to do? Now I'm aware of what my body does, my behaviors, like if you go towards food to soothe yourself, or you're looking for that dopamine hit somewhere else, that's what they say, like emotional support, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. Now I recognize that. So I'm sure that's happening in a stressed body, in a stress situation. So I'm looking to create a space where we can talk about how we can reduce the stress that you're feeling, whether it's mental, emotional, or it's energetic, or it's physiological, anything like that, right?
That sounds actually really cool. So when do you hold the workshops?
It's whenever, I only offered it to the students of that school. I just said, like, see if anybody's into it, so it's available. I'm going to put it on my website, okay. You'd have to sign up. And then if we get a few people, then we'll hold a Zoom, nice. And I could give all that information. But I would say follow me on Instagram. I'll put it on Instagram and it'll be on my website. And then once we get a few people, or I can set up a date. Like I said, I'm new to this digital stuff. Yeah. I want to have a more of an audience and be more available. Right. So that's something I created that I'm like, look, this is really needed. I would love to do it. I love to help. And I wish I had it, So details to be revealed.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I would love to do it. I really would.
Yeah, I think it'll be very beneficial for everyone. I'll put your Instagram on the description, And then your website as well. Still the same website?
Still the same website. Tracy B Wellness, yes. That's my personal brand.
It's the best brand.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy you think so.
I mean, yeah, you can see it. You can see it on your shirt. Tracy B Wellness.
Yeah, I'm Tracy B in Wellness. I said this is my vibe. I just wear my stuff to work.
Well, I'll put your stuff on the description. I think that it'll be very beneficial if you're going to be doing a workshop, and then you just got to get a couple people to sign up. You're going to have all that on your website. You're going to have it on your Instagram. And then once you have a couple signups, then you'll host a workshop. Yeah.
And it could be continual. Like it could be a container. We could do a weekly series, I really want to support the students. Yeah. So depending on the engagement and the feedback, then I'm willing to do it every week or monthly or whatever.
Yeah. It seems like something really dynamic that people can really benefit from.
And I also want to add too, yes, I'm bringing in my personal experience, but that's not really just what I do. And I have a lot of techniques that are mind body that really work, that we're also going to be plugging in the workshop, because I want to teach you those tools and you plug them in, whether you're taking your quiz and you could go to the bathroom and do it right away. So you can get in a better place, so you can think more clearly, so you can be more relaxed and you can get through it, because you do know the information, you are receiving it, but it may not seem like that because either you're not performing well, or like I said, you're just getting in your own way and you think you don't know. Acupuncture school is very intense. There's a lot of information thrown at you. And it's very different, from the Western way. So there's a lot going on. So there's got to be some kind of interruption, right? So it's like a little bit of an intervention. So I'll be able to teach you those tools that you can use on your own. And we'll do them together. So there's some accountability. And then hopefully you can feel confident enough to do it on your own in real time. In your everyday life, in school, like in the clinic, whatever comes your way, you're able to help yourself through that challenge because you know how to. We understand what's going on, and now we know we can plug in our tools and make a difference, make a change.
Nice. So we'll close here and just let everyone know again, where can they find out about this program, about this workshop?
TracyBWellness.com. Nice. TRACY. Yes, and my Instagram @TracyBWellness as well. And soon I'll be having a digital platform. I think it's Patreon, so look out for that. And this workshop will probably be in the Patreon as well, too. More topics as well. So look out for that. I'm very excited to start that. So I hope to see you there.
Definitely, I would love to join as well. I feel like I can also work through a lot of stuff, so I'll definitely look for the link when it's out. But everyone, I'll have it on my description. So Tracy B Wellness is the Instagram. TracyBWellness.com is her website. All right, so I really encourage all of you to sign up for that when it's up on her website. Anything else to say to the students before we close?
No, just, take it one day at a time. Everything's going to be okay. Things are looking up and you'll get through it. Just be kind to yourself. It's okay.
The best advice ever. I need that today. I needed this more than anything. Tracy, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, we'll see you guys later.